What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Player Ratings as we drew 3-3 with Southampton at St Mary's. Let's start off with Fraser Forster. Sevens all round from us. Made really good saves in the second half from Mara and Maitland-Niles. I don't think he could have done anything with the 3 goals that we did concede, but with the penalty, he did get a slight hand to it, but it was a very good penalty. But yeah, good performance from Fraser, I thought.
Yeah, not too much to complain about. I thought, in the second half, he actually didn't have too much to do for a lot of the game up until the last 15 minutes of the game when Southampton were piling on the pressure. He did make some saves. Unfortunately, wasn't enough to get us all 3 points. Could he have done any better with the goals? Probably not. I can't. Maybe Walcott's, but it's harsh because it's close range. But yeah, it was okay from Forster. And well, congratulations, England squad.
Yeah, big up to Fraser. That can't be his first
No,
goal,
it's
up,
not.
is it? No. Let's move on to Cuti Romero. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. Not much wrong in the early stages. I thought he struggled late on when Southampton were piling the pressure on us. He was quite slow to react. I can't remember if it was the first goal or the second goal, but he was quite slow to react. But he wasn't his usual aggressive self, Cuti Romero, on the day, so not such a great performance from him.
Yeah, I think he was by and large okay. Didn't have much to do for a lot of the game. But again, once we were put under pressure, he didn't cover himself in much glory. He was really outfoxed by Mara for the chance that he missed late in the game. And he didn't cover himself with much glory as well for the Walcott set for the second goal for Southampton as well. And the first goal, he let Shea Adams get a run on him. So it wasn't great in all from Romero.
Moving on to Eric Dyer in the centre of the back 3. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 4. Had a chance early on in the game, sent the header wide. In the second half of the goals, I mean, I don't know what he's doing for Walcott's goal. Literally, like, Walcott's completely free in the box. Instead of marking Walcott, he's going to mark Harry Kane. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on. But, yeah, I mean, Eric Dyer, every time I see him play, it's just like, we need another centre-back.
Yeah, 100%. And I think when we got put under pressure, he crumbled. He lost his concentration. With the 2 goals we conceded before the penalty, I thought he could have done a lot better with both of them. And I thought at the end as well, his passing wasn't very good. I don't think he controlled the back line particularly well. Poor display in the end.
And another poor display for Clement Longley, who's up next. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 4. Again, completely caught out of position a number of times during the game, especially for one of the goals. I just think he's just not strong enough, and he doesn't have enough awareness, Clement Longley, to play in the Premier League, in my opinion. Again, we need more centre-backs. He did have a chance late on to save the game for Spurs, but wasn't to be.
Seems to be declining in a lot of his performances of late as well, Longley, which is worrying because I thought he started his career fairly solidly, but his career at Tottenham, fairly solidly. But I think, especially of late, his performances have declined. I don't know whether it's because maybe he knows he's going back, or maybe he knows his time is coming to an end. But he seems to have, I don't know, of late his performances have not been great, especially away from home. And I thought yesterday again that first goal. I don't know how he gets beaten by that pass from Lavia. It's a good pass, but it shouldn't be getting in between him and Perisic. I thought the second goal as well, I don't think it was anywhere to be seen. And I just thought, again, it was a really average display from Longley, and he's convincing everyone again that he's not the answer we've been looking for.
Yeah, clearly. Moving on to right wing back Pedro Porro, something positive to talk about for once, and this is 8s all round for Porro. I thought he was brilliant in that first half. Best player on the football pitch, in my opinion. He was a constant threat down that right-hand side. He was putting crosses into the box. He was having chances on goal. 2 of them he kind of snapped at with his left foot and it went way over the bar. But later on in that first half, he did find really good space where Heung-min Son fed him in, and he made no mistake that time and smashed it into the roof of the net. Second half was a bit harder for him, and I felt like he kind of ran out of energy midway through that second half.
Yeah, I thought it was a really positive display from Porro. I thought it was our best player on the day, in my opinion. It was definitely our biggest threat in the first half, and he did end up obviously getting on the score sheet. And I thought he was really stretching the play, getting wide, putting crosses in as well. And I thought he was really linking up quite nicely with Kulusevski on that right-hand side. He did start to tire in the second half, and they did start to get a bit more joy up against him, which is why he got taken off, I felt. But I did think overall really positive attacking display, and he really showed what he brings to the attack when he's playing, when he's in that kind of mood. So really positive from Porro.
Yeah, he just adds another dimension to us when he's on the pitch as well. Because like when you have Emerson there, he just doesn't offer anything close to what Pedro Porro can offer. So
makes it so much harder to defend against.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the midfield. Starting off with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. I actually thought Pierre was really good in the first half, to be honest. He was did a really good job for the team, combative, all over the place, trying to drive us forward at times. But in the second half, I felt like he got overrun a bit, to be honest. And the Southampton midfielders kind of gave him a really torrid time, and he couldn't really do anything in that second half.
Yeah, he got quite kind of tired in that second half. That kind of encapsulated when Sulemana gets past him, and he throws like a lazy leg. He couldn't really get near him, and that kind of summed up how things were going for him in the last stage of the game. I did think for overall, when we were on top, he did have control. And he was decent. I think first half, as you say, him and Skip were patrolling things really well. But again, once the going got tough, and once we were under pressure, I felt like he did crumble a bit. I think it did help when we had Sarr on, and that gave him an extra body in there to help him out. But for that little period when we lost control, that's where it really cost us. So I marked him down unfortunately for him. But he didn't actually have a terrible game overall.
Yeah, moving on to Ollie Skip. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 7. I was saying during the game, I think this has actually been Skip's probably poorest display since announcing himself coming back into the side against AC Milan. But having said that, I still think it was still a good display from Ollie Skip. There were mistakes in there from sloppy passes, and there was one really bad one as well in there where it could have played us massively under pressure. But I felt like he caused problems in that first half in terms of the way he worked with Højbjerg in terms of that double pivot. In the second half as well, I thought he was one of the ones really trying in that second half, but it just wasn't to be because Southampton were putting us under loads of pressure.
Yeah, I agree. I think he really helped control things when we were on top, and when we were 3-1 up, it was good. But once they made changes and brought that new energy to the team, he did really struggle, and he was giving the ball away in some really bad areas, to be honest. I think I remember off the top of my head 3 times in the central midfield where he got caught on the ball, and he kept asking for fouls, and the referee wasn't obliging. He then got beaten quite easily by Mara for the chance that he had, which Forster had to bail him out of. So I did think he was struggling, and I think Conte from that point was right to bring on Sarr and add an extra body in there. And again, it did kind of help with Skip, but I did think during that period he was quite badly exposed, and it nearly cost us. Well, it did cost us in the end.
Moving on to left wing back Ben Davis, 6s all round from us. Got taken off on the half-hour mark or just after, but the half an hour he was on, he was standard Ben Davis. I mean, nothing much of note.
Yeah, nothing too good, nothing too bad, nothing much to say about Ben Davis. He was fine, didn't have too much to do, to be honest, and he didn't get forward that much, so he was all right.
Next up, Dejan Kulusevski, 7 for Sim, 8 for me. He came on after 4 minutes because Richarlison obviously got injured. But I thought this is his best performance in a while for Dejan Kulusevski. He was beating his man. He looked dangerous. His crossing ability was on point. Obviously gave that assist to Harry Kane. He was involved in all the goals, to be honest. And I thought he looked really dangerous, and it looked like his capabilities to beat a man was back as well. So big up to Decky, because we need him as well. If Richarlison's going to be out for any extended period of time, we need that old Decky back, and I thought we saw that yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he had a really bright performance, really great assist for Kane's goal, brilliant cross, and that wasn't the first time he put in a dangerous cross in that game as well, and it was causing problems. It actually led to the third goal as well. It was a really good deep cross which went out to Perisic, who scored. He could have done better with a few other situations which he manoeuvred himself in with some good dribbling, but unfortunately couldn't really capitalise. One thing I'm a bit disappointed still in Kulusevski is his shooting. For some reason, his shooting boots have been way off it for a while now, and I don't know why, because he can have such a good lethal left foot when he wants to, but for some reason his shooting's been very weak. A lot of the time it gets blocked or it goes high or wide, and I need him. I want him to get back to the situation where he's getting good shots off again, because he gets himself in a few situations to get shots off, but for some reason his shooting boots would be completely off it, so that's a bit disappointing. But his creativity was there for sure, and it was really good yesterday. Link up with the other front three.
Yeah, moving on to Harry Kane, 7s all round for Kane. I thought he took a while to kind of maybe announce himself on the game, but once he did, I thought, he gave us good option up front. What frustrated me yesterday with Harry Kane was quite a few times. One of them was a really big one, but he kept getting in like opportunities outside the box, and he kept snapshotting, and it was either blocked or went wide or went over when there was options either side of him, really good options where you just feed him in and the player's there for a one-on-one, which I was quite frustrated in. But you can kind of put that aside a bit, because Harry Kane has the quality to do that and to score from those ranges. But look, I thought he influenced the game in a positive way, but I was just a bit frustrated with I think he was a bit too overselfish in this game.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of occasions he could have been less selfish when Kulusevski was in a better position, but he decided to the Southampton defenders did back off, so he did decide to take the shot off. He went over the bar. But look, he did make up for it with a goal, put us 2-1 up, and I thought he was linking up quite well with... he was actually playing more of a striker role yesterday. He wasn't really in the playmaker role. He wasn't really the one playing the through ball. He was the one getting on the end of things, really. And it was a powerful header. One thing I'm a bit disappointed in is Maitland-Niles was on the pitch as a centre-back for a good hour, and he didn't test him enough. And the one time he did, he beat him in the air and got the goal, and we didn't do that enough. So that'll be disappointing. But I did think his striker instincts obviously got him the goal, and I thought he was causing trouble a lot throughout the game for Southampton, but he'll be disappointed he only got the one goal on the day, to be honest.
Moving on to Heung-min Son, last of the starting 11. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. And look, I thought Sonny looked bright in the early stages. He was looking to get on the ball, looking to hurt Southampton. He was also making good runs off the ball where he wasn't getting found. Second half, I was a bit disappointed with him. He did play that lovely ball. Oh, that was in the first half, actually. The lovely ball to Porro where he scored. But in the second half, I felt he just struggled really to get into the game in that second half, and it was a bit disappointing.
I actually thought it was our brightest attacker on the day, Sonny. I thought,
brighter than Kulu?
Yeah, I thought his dribbling was actually really strong. He had some really good dribbling moments when he was facing the goal. He wasn't losing the ball as easily as he usually does. Obviously, he did a brilliant assist for the Porro goal, and I actually thought he set up a number of situations during the game, and I thought it was actually pretty bright throughout the day. The only disappointing thing is his ability to... he had a couple of shots from outside the box, one which flashed just wide past the post. Didn't get any shots on targets. That was a bit disappointing. But I actually thought creatively he was a big threat, and I thought Southampton actually struggled to contain him.
Perisic from the bench came on for Ben Davies after 35 minutes. We both gave him a 5. Credit to him getting his first goal in Spurs colours. A really nice finish with a volley against the ground that found its way into the back of the net. But I thought defensively he was poor, to be honest. The first one, him and Longley caught in no man's land and the ball goes straight through them. Second one, he was weak at the back post to not win that header. And I thought going forward throughout the game as well, like with his crossing ability, with the ability that he does have, he's just not showing anywhere near enough to the quality that he does have, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah, he'll get marked down massively for his contribution defensively, because that ultimately cost us the 3 points at the end of the day. You have to say his goal was a really well struck finish into the ground, a lot of power up and over the keeper. It was really technical finish from Ivan Perisic, and good to see him get off the mark. But unfortunately, again, he comes off the bench, and he is a liability on his side. You have to say the first goal, he lets it go through to Theo Walcott when he should be closing that gap and making sure no pass goes through. Second goal, Mara beats him in the air. Perisic is a player known for his decent aerial ability as well, so it's disappointing that he gets beaten in that position. Third goal, I mean, he blocks a header for the third goal, so I'm not going to mark him down too much, but I thought for those 2 moments didn't cover himself with much glory, although when we had scored the goal to make it 3-1, I actually thought he was having a decent game, but then he let himself down. So disappointing from a defensive point of view from Perisic.
Yeah, and last but not least, the manager, Antonio Conte. 5s all round for Conte. And I was struggling to pick a mark for Conte, to be honest. I didn't really know what to do with Conte, because we were winning 3-1 with 15 minutes to go. Things were looking all right. All right, it wasn't the best display, but when you're 3-1 up away from home, you can't really complain. And then the team crumbled in the last 15 minutes, and I'm not sure. I'm a bit lost in this situation in regards to Antonio Conte. I thought his decisions on the day in terms of the substitutions were all right. And I thought we were just let down by individuals on the day. I give him a 5 because the buck always stops with the manager. But his post-match press conference, I absolutely loved. I didn't love it because I don't like the situation we're in, but I like that a manager has come out and said these things because they needed to be said. So I don't know. It's a difficult one for me.
Yeah, I think after with 15 minutes to go at 3-1, you're thinking it's a solid professional performance away from home. You're not saying unbelievable display, but you're also not saying like, oh, we got away with one here, we're lucky to be 3-1 up. I think I think it was a solid away performance, but we did end up losing control of the game at that point. We conceded a very quick goal, and all of a sudden Southampton putting us under a lot of pressure. We could have easily conceded a second in that period. I mean, we did, but that was later on because Conte did make some subs, brought on Emerson, Sarr. People criticise him for those subs, but I actually think the subs did work. We did kind of sharp shop a bit, and we looked like we were going to ride the storm. Unfortunately, the penalty undermined that good tactical switch, in my opinion, and we ended up succumbing to the Southampton pressure and ended up drawing the game 3-3, which was very disappointing. And I think he's got to take responsibility for how we lost control of the game at 3-1 up and how we weren't able to see it out. However, I do have a bit of sympathy for the changes in that, because I did think they were working at the time before we conceded the penalty. But at the end of the day, it wasn't enough because although we were 3-1 up, we should have done a lot more in this game to make sure that we took advantage of the Southampton having 2 of their centre-backs out. And I felt like I guess you could say 3-1 up, 15 minutes to go. That should be it, and it should be. But I feel like when they have a situation like that, we have to go for the throat, and we just kind of we tried to manage the game at 3-1, and you could say fair enough. You're 3-1 up, 15 minutes to go. You should be able to manage it. But also part of me is like, we could have easily scored more goals, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we could have, but I think that in that situation, 3-1 up with 15 minutes to go, like most managers would make a defensive change and just try shut up shop and seal off the game.
Yeah, I don't think he even made a defensive change then. I think he made it more after, what's it called, at 3-2 he made the defensive change, because they scored very quickly. They scored very quickly after they made it 3-1. So I think it was more the players than him just thinking, look, let's just sit back and manage the game now, make sure we're not don't concede goals, and that didn't really work. But just a bit frustrating that it's an opportunity when they're playing Maitland-Niles at centre back for an hour. That's an opportunity, and we just didn't make the use of it.
Yeah, you're right there. All right, so that is our player ratings for the 3-3 draw at St Mary's. Watch out because the 5 takeaways coming up next. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.